Good evening everyone. Welcome to the lecture Machining Technology, and we are discussing analysis of orthogonal machining. So in the last class we have discussed the shear strength of the material, specific cutting energy, or how to calculate the power. And today in this class we are going to discuss the heat generation in metal cutting. So how the heat is generating in a metal cutting process, and what are the effect of this heat generation, and how to measure the heat generation or the heat which is generating in the metal cutting process. So as you know, the power or the total energy consumed in the metal cutting process is converted into the frictional energy, the shear energy, and the momentum energy. So the power or the total energy given by an external source for cutting is spent in frictional energy, or the energy to overcome the friction, or the energy to overcome the shear of the material, and the momentum energy. But in actual practice, in the real time, the momentum energy is very less, or the momentum energy per unit volume is negligible compared to other two energy. So we are neglecting, but mainly the energy are the consumed by the frictional energy and shear energy. So by seeing the consumption, all the energy or the heat zone or the heat generation is divided in, categorized in different zones. So the heat is generated in 3 zones normally in any metal cutting operation. So first zone is the shear zone, is the primary zone where the heat is generating. Next, the chip and tool interface zone, or it is also called friction zone, or it is called secondary zone. And third one is the tool or work interface zone, or it is also called tertiary zone. So primary zone, which is the shear zone, secondary zone is the chip tool interface zone or the friction zone, and tertiary zone, that is tool and work interface zone. So we'll take the same model of the machining operation where the tool is removing some amount of material from the workpiece, and we'll see what are the 3 zones mean. So this is the primary zone, and already you have known this is the shear zone, or the where the material is shearing taking place, and the separation of the material, separation of the chip material from the parent material is taking place. It is shear zone. So this is the primary zone. Next, chip and tool interface zone. So where the chip and tool interface, chip and tool. So this is the secondary zone, or the friction zone. It is also called the friction zone because the friction is taking place in the rake face of the tool, and the contact between tool and chip means chip and the rake face of the tool. So this is the chip tool interface zone or friction zone. And the third one is the tool and work interface zone. So this is the tool and this is the workpiece. So this is the interface or contact between tool and workpiece is this zone. So this is the tertiary zone or tool and work interface zone. So these are the 3 zones where mainly the heat is generating in any metal cutting operation, and we will discuss so how much heat is generating in each zone and what are the effects of each zone in the metal cutting process. So first zone, that is primary zone or primary heat zone, which is shear zone. So the significance of this zone is the total heat generated in shear zone, which consists of heat of deformation and heat of distortion. So what do you mean by heat of deformation and heat of distortion? So normally the energy is supplied for means in terms of cutting velocity or the cutting parameters, we are supplying some energy like the cutting power in form of power, and this energy normally supplies for breaking the atomic bond between the atoms. The atomic bond which is between the atoms in a workpiece or in a work material, to break that bond we are supplying some energy, and so that the and after that the atom what will do? The atom will release some equivalent amount of energy in the form of heat. After breaking the atom will release some amount of heat in form of heat. That is the deformation, heat of deformation or heat of distortion. So again, it is maximum heat is generated in this zone. So out of total energy, out of 100% of total energy, 60 to 65% of energy is supplied, is utilized in this zone. Means in shear zone, we are utilizing 60 to 65% of input energy. And so that as we are consuming more energy, so the maximum heat also generated in this shear zone. And also out of the total heat generated, the maximum energy is, or maximum heat is carried away by the chip, not the workpiece. Workpiece is only taking 10% of that heat. Remaining 90 to 95% of the heat is carried away by the chip, which is and going outside. So like that, the heat is generated in the primary zone, that is shear zone, where 60 to 65% of total energy is utilized and maximum heat also generated here, and in that heat 90% of heat is carried away by the chip and 10% is taken place by workpiece. Next is chip tool interface or friction zone, which is also called secondary zone, which is the contact zone between chip and the rake face of the tool. So because of the presence of friction at the chip tool interface, the energy supplied is converted into heat energy. Because of friction energy, the energy is converted into heat energy. So here 30 to 35% of energy supplied is converted into heat in this zone. So out of the total energy supplied, 6 to 65 consumed in the shear zone, remaining 30 to 35 is consumed in the friction zone, and which is converted to the heat energy. So next, the maximum amount of heat is generated in secondary zone. Whatever the heat is generated in the secondary zone, out of that the maximum amount of heat goes into the chip, and remaining a small amount of heat is carried away by the tool. Like shear zone, here also most of the generated heat goes into the chip and to the atmosphere. Therefore, through chip it is going to the atmosphere. And the third one, that is tool and work interface zone, that is tertiary zone. So here the energy supplied is converted into heat energy because of presence of friction at the tool and work interface. So if you see in the real-time machining operation, there will be some friction in the tool and work interface zone also, as in the previous diagram. If you recall the cutting model, so there the tool contact point between the tool and workpiece, that is tertiary zone, there also you can see some amount of friction, and because of that friction some energy is converted into heat energy. Out of the total energy supplied, here 5 to 10% energy supplied is converted into heat energy, and in that the generated heat, the maximum heat is carried away by the workpiece and a small amount goes to the chip, means tools. So if you see all the three zones, a very small amount of heat is going to the tool, remaining all maximum amount is carried away by the chip, and some amount of heat goes into the workpiece. So likewise, if you see, heat generated in the machining operation is simply carried away by the chip, workpiece and tool. How? Because if we neglect the convection and radiation, all the process, so only through conduction only the heat is dissipating, and if you consider conduction, then the contact region between chip, workpiece and tool. So all that heat generated will be converted, it will be carried away by the either chip, workpiece or tool. Because here we are neglecting the convection and radiation. So heat generated, that is work done, is equal to heat carried away by chip plus workpiece plus tool. So total heat generated is nothing but the heat goes into chip, workpiece and tool. How much heat is carried out by individual? Like for chip or in chip, 75 to 80% of the heat is going. And through workpiece, it is 15 to 20% heat is carried over, and through tool, it is 5 to 8% of the total heat which is generated during the machining operation is carried over. So this is the data from the experiment. So if we see 75 to 80% means most of the heat which is generated is going to the chip, and 15 to 20% to the workpiece and 5 to 8% to tool. So here if you see, this is the analysis we are doing. Means after analysis we got that the how much heat is transmitting to chip, workpiece and tool, and we want to measure those amount of heat. How to measure those heat and why to measure? Why want to measure? Because in the first class only we have studied that hot hardness temperature. So like if you doing any machining operation and the heat is generated because of the temperature, there will be certain temperature above which the material starts reduce its hardness. Like for the tool, the basic or the most, or the what you can say, the prime quality of the tool is to maintain its hardness throughout the operation. So if there will be temperature rise above certain temperature and the tool started losing its hardness, then the surface finish will be not better and the machining will not be possible, like that. And the edge, the cutting edge of the cutting tool will be blunt. So we have to calculate the amount of energy or amount of heat generated during the process. Likewise, if the workpiece, certain workpiece, if you heat more or if you supply more temperature or more heat, then they are losing their properties, they change their properties, and like hardness, ductility. So our requirements, whatever the requirements or whatever the output, actual output will not get, and there will be some mismatch. Mismatch means not accurate. Our work will be not accurate. So you have to measure the heat, and the heat transmitting is in this region up to this much percentage. Then you can say, okay, the machining process is correct, and this is, and you can carry forward. So next, how to measure this heat generation or the heat or temperature generating in the metal cutting operation. So measurement of cutting temperature. So how to measure? So we want to measure the cutting temperature, because to know the exact temperature, what is the temperature in various regions, and so that we can change the process parameter and so that we can change the process parameter and we can go for a good machining condition. So that's why we want to measure the cutting temperature. So there are various ways to measure this cutting temperature. Some of those are like, first one is the use of decoloring agent. So decoloring agent means nothing but a color or a paint or a tape, so which is normally attached to the tool, and by seeing the changes in the paint or changes in the color, we are saying that okay, this is the temperature generated in the cutting operation. So normally what they will do, they will calibrate the change in color earlier, so that during cutting operation, by seeing the color, you can say okay, this color is suppose in the range of this much. Like suppose if you take one paint strip or one tape and you heat, so suppose earlier the color is green and you measure the temperature with a thermometer that at green, that is suppose 0 degree. After certain time the changes of color green to yellow, and yellow is again you can check the temperature in the thermometer, like suppose 50 degree or suppose 100 degree, and after again changing the color from yellow to orange, orange is suppose 300 degree, like that we have already calibrated. And during actual machining operation we are simply use that point or step on the tool or the workpiece where we are going for a cutting operation or doing the cutting operation. So when the tool coming contact with the paint during the operation, the color will change automatically. By seeing the color, whatever the color at that time, we can say okay, and from the earlier calibrated data we can say okay, for this color this is the temperature. So this is not exact, it is approximate, and this is the first basic method or simple method which is the use of decoloring agent. So in that way they are measuring the color, they are measuring the temperature in this method. Next one is the calorimetric method. So calorimetric method is nothing but it is a very simple method, and it is not accurate actually. It gives the average temperature of the chips, and it is simple but inexpensive methods. So what they will do in this method? So in this method normally we are saying that the heat gained by water is nothing but heat lost by the chip. So if you see, this is nothing but MC delta T, the total heat capacity of the chip, total heat capacity of the water. So V is the volume of the chip, rho is the density of the chip. If you multiply volume into density, it will becomes mass of the chip, and C is the specific heat of the chip. Theta chip means the temperature in chip, theta W means the maximum temperature of water. The same way VW, volume of water, density of water, specific heat of water. The theta W means maximum temperature reached in temperature in water, minus theta A means ambient temperature of water. This is the normal temperature of water. So after calibrating this, we are saying that the changes in heat in the chip is equal to the heat lost by the chip is equal to the heat gained by the water. So by equating these two, we are calculating the theta chip, means how much temperature in the chip. And the third method is the using thermocouple. So thermocouple is a device which is used to measure the temperature range or temperature difference in the normally in a particular mechanical system. So there are several other methods like tool works thermocouple techniques, moving thermocouple techniques, embedded thermocouple techniques, and compound ray tool methods. So we'll see one by one. So first one is the tool work thermocouple technique. So tool and work thermocouple technique. Here you can see this is the operation, turning operation, where this is the workpiece, this is the tool, and the thermocouple which is joined in two sections or in two positions. One is at the cold junction which is in the workpiece, and the another point in the tool which is the hot junction. So here what the necessary condition is that the tool and the work material should be conductive, either in means both in thermally and electrically. Then only it is possible to measure the voltage, change in the voltage, because we have joined in cold junction at one point, and other one is we have joined at the hot junction. So there will be some temperature difference. So because of that temperature difference, some voltage will generate in form of millivolt, and we can measure this millivolt through a voltmeter, and we can calibrate that voltage to a particular temperature. So like that we are measuring in this tool and work thermocouple techniques. And again the tool and the workpiece should be properly insulated. So here we are applying some insulation and a wire for this electrical lead, which is simply measuring the sensing the heat and also the voltage. So in this way the tool work thermocouple techniques is used to measure the heat or the change in heat, and from the change in heat the voltage, and we are calculating that voltage to know the actual heat or the actual temperature. Next, moving thermocouple techniques. So moving thermocouple techniques, and this technique is normally used for study of the gradual rise in the temperature in the chip or in the workpiece material. So it is nothing but the study of gradual rise of temperature of continuous chip at low and moderate cutting velocity. So here you can see there will be a standard thermocouple which is used here, and you can see after sometimes the tool will move along this direction. So we can measure the heat when the tool is here. At this position also we are sensing some heat in form of voltage, and when the tool comes near to this position or near to this stone, and we are measuring the heat through this voltage. So by seeing the variation or by seeing the data, we can plot one graph and we can say that this is the variation of heat or this is the rise in the heat because of the movement of the tool. Means the temperature in the chip or the temperature in the before machining and after machining, how the temperature is changing. So if you take, this is the reference for x0 to x, and temperature already you can measure. So you can plot a graph between temperature versus the distance between the jaw and the tool. So likewise we are using this technique, moving thermocouple technique. Next is the embedded thermocouple techniques, which is normally used during the milling operation. So this is the milling operation where a milling cutter is removing some amount of material like some face grinding we can use. So normally through a hole we are attaching one thermocouple in the workpiece itself, and we are sensing the heat, and you can see when the tool is here it is sensing some heat, and when the tool is near to the thermocouple again we are sensing some different heat. So likewise the distance, this HI will decide. If HI is less, then also the temperature whatever you are sensing it will be more, because the tool will come closer to this thermocouple. So in this way, this embedded thermocouple techniques is here nothing but the thermocouple is embedded in the workpiece to sense the heat or rising temperature. And next one is compound rake tool method. So here this is turning operation or a planing or shaping operation. You can see here. So normally again the same thermocouple which you have seen in the moving or in the first method, that is your tool work thermocouple techniques. Here also we have used the thermocouple, but here we have attached one thermocouple, the cold junction in the workpiece and hot junction at this part of this tool. But in the compound rake tool methods, we have attached the cold junction again in the workpiece, you can see here, and the hot junction is the rake face of the tool, you can see here. So this is the hot junction. Why it is hot junction? Because you can see it is nothing but the friction zone, and here also you can see the maximum temperature in the during process or during metal cutting operation if you measure. So how it is measuring? Again the same, change in heat will generate some voltage in form of millivolt, and which we can calibrate to a particular temperature, and we can measure the temperature. So it is normally used for non-conductor ceramic, you can see here. Here also we can measure the heat. And next one is the infrared photographic technique. So here we are not using thermocouple, we are using a infrared light source, and we are sensing the temperature. And this method was developed by Boothroyd in 1963. So here normally from the side face of the metal cutting operation, like this is the side of your workpiece and this is the side face of the tool. On the one side we are taking some infrared light and we are taking one picture or in form of photograph, and by seeing the color, if you see the infrared light used to sense the heat, so different color, different regions, means suppose a cold body it looks like blue color, suppose if body is hot then it looks like orange or red color, if it is temperature is very high, like that you can see the different color. And if you see here, this is a region where X, here the temperature will be something else also, but compared to Y region, because in Y region if you see, this is the region Y where the temperature is 750 degrees Celsius, but here it is 670 degrees Celsius. Why it is more than this? Because first searing will happen, so because of searing operation it will get some temperature, and again then it comes contacts with X surface, so then friction will occur. So searing plus friction, so that's why here temperature will be more, that is 750 degrees in this friction zone. And here normally you can see very less temperature in the Z axis. So in that way, by seeing the photograph, infrared photograph, we are saying or we are analyzing the temperature at different zones. So in this way we are measuring the heat or temperature in a metal cutting operation, which we are using in analysis. Like if temperature, you can see that during operation if your temperature is very high, then again we can change the process parameter, like we can lower the cutting velocity. So these are the several techniques which is used to measure the temperature in a machining operation or in a metal cutting operation. And nowadays you can see there are several portable devices where you can easily measure those temperature directly during the operation, like laser sources also we are using to measure the temperature. And you can see nowadays in any airport or railway station or any shopping mall, people used to use your temperature, they are checking the body temperature. Simply they are pointing some device and they can measure the temperature. So that is nothing but the use of this infrared photographic technique. So simply they are sending some infrared light source to the body. The body is sensing the heat zones and it's saying that the in particular area what is the temperature by showing the color. So likewise you can easily measure the temperature in the metal cutting operation by using those devices. And after knowing the temperature, you can easily control the process parameter. If the temperature is okay, then your machining is good, you can get the accurate result. But if there is high rise in temperature, then you can change the process parameter, like you can lower the cutting velocity or the feed or the depth of cut, so that you will get a good result or an accurate result without any defect. So in the next class we will see the tool failure, how a tool fails during the operation, any machining operation. Thank you.